Lewis works.
I'm gonna be burning up the weeds inside of the garden beds today. And after I'm done doing that, I'm going to use a contractor paper and also some boxes we had left over. And I'm gonna put that inside of the garden beds, fill it up with compost and wood chips. I know technically you're supposed to, really the best time to be doing this is around the fall, I think, because it gives the paper the opportunity to be able to break down. But I didn't have time to really do that this year, so I'm gonna do it this way, and I think it'll work out fine. Obviously, the best scenario is to do this during the fall, but since it's almost spring, I'm gonna do it anyway, and then we'll start our garden sometime in April. It'll give it a little time for the paper to get somewhat mushy, but you know, we'll work with it. Well, that's one bed down and there's plenty more to go. So when you're using a torch to burn up the weeds, it's not necessarily getting rid of the weeds. I just use it to make the composting process quicker because yes, you're killing the top part of the weed, but the root is still on the ground. And if you don't cover it up, eventually it'll grow back. And it actually grows back a lot better than it did before. I've noticed that I've used this torch for other projects when it comes to burning weeds. And if you don't cover up the area that you've burnt up, the weeds actually grow a lot. I feel like the grass and the weeds grow a lot better and they get really green. But it's really good. I think it's really good to use a flame torch just to speed up the compost process, and it makes it easier for me to be able to cover up the area that I'm going to be using the garden for with the contractor paper and boxes. So yesterday I took the time to burn up all of the weeds inside of the garden bed to prepare for it today. And today what we're going to do is use the contractor's paper and a whole bunch of boxes that we've saved up over the last few months. And we're going to fill up the garden beds after we put the contractor paper and the boxes on the bottom with compost and wood chips. And our growing season will probably start at the end of April, beginning of May. So we've got maybe about 2 months for some of those things to kind of break down a little bit. Obviously, it won't be broken down all the way, but it'll be good because it's going to stop the weeds from growing, and we can have a fresh start on these new garden beds that we just recently built. And I'm really liking the design of the garden beds that we created. I like this design because it's very easy to manage your plants and manage the weeds. And so all of this area where there's grass at, that's all going to be covered by weed stopper. And I don't know if we'll get to that today, but eventually here soon, maybe in the next week or two, we'll get into that. The neat thing I like about using a flame torch is it gets the weeds down and they're gonna compost a lot quicker because they're pretty much ash for the most part right now. And you can see like there might be a little bit of green here and there, but most of it has been burnt up, and all of that will just compost, and for the next year it's just going to add nutrients to the garden that we'll be placing in the areas that we've burnt up. So this is really exciting, and I think it's a good way to start a garden and to try to make it, in my opinion, I think it's kind of like one of the easiest ways to start it off. All right, y'all. So today we've got the finishing touches coming up for the garden. The last step that I have to do is add the weed barrier so we don't have to cut the grass all the time. So I may cut the grass or I may just put the weed barrier on top. I think I might just make it easy for myself and just throw the weed barrier on top and just be done with it. This project has been really enjoyable and it's been a lot of hard work, but I know that this hard work is going to pay off for years to come, and I look forward to the many harvests that we'll have off of this garden. So my wife found some weed stopper a few years ago on Amazon that has worked really well. A lot of times when you go to places like Lowe's and Home Depot, you buy weed stoppers and they really don't work well, but this one from Amazon works really well, and that's what I'm going to be using on the garden today. And this is the weed stopper that I was talking about that has worked really well. We've had it for a few years in our garden, and it really hasn't deteriorated, so this is kind of like my top choice for using it. DeWitt Sunbelt. So I'm gonna start using these staples. The thing about these staples though is that the more of these staples you use, the more weeds you'll have. So you need to be very strategic when you place these staples, because everywhere where you put a staple at, that's a place for a weed to grow out of the weed barrier. What's crazy is that we bought 2 rolls of weed stopper, but I don't even know if that's going to be enough. I think we may need to buy another roll. I hope not, but I think there's a possibility we may have to. This is kind of the most satisfying part of the job. I feel like this is like when you created a package, this is kind of like the wrapping paper at the end, kind of like the ribbon on top of the Christmas gift. I don't know about you, when I'm done with these jobs, I'm normally very hungry. So I know I'm gonna work a really good appetite, and I think my wife is making enchiladas tonight, so kind of like my favorite to eat. It's a good thing that the ground is not all the way dry, that, you know, it's rained over the past couple of weeks and it's not muddy, but it's definitely not dry. And so I don't have to deal with the mud, but also it's very easy to put the staples in. So that is such a good thing. It really sucks when the ground is really hard and you try to work with the soil and do things with the soil, and you really can't, because it doesn't have any moisture, and the ground really doesn't do much forming. It doesn't really move around much, and it's very hard to work with when it's dry. Right, and these next ones should be my last staples right here. Almost embarrassed for you guys to see the other garden. It's very weed infested right now. But don't worry, in the next few weeks, we'll have an opportunity to clean that out. All right, now to get this box cutter and cut off the part that we don't need to use right now. All right, so I've gotten one roll completed. I finished using one roll and haven't even really done half of the garden. I pretty much just have this middle pathway, but I think a good majority of it will be covered up. Today is the day that we finish up the garden project and it be done in its entirety. All we've got to do now is finish putting the weed stopper down. I ordered some more weed stopper because it looks like we was kind of running out of some weed stopper, but today is the day. This is it. I'm tired of working on this, and we are finishing this today. Hold it. Oh. So I'll do it on this side. That way. This one probably has water.
go to the nursery to get those. So, okay, let's hope it doesn't correctly this time. To be safe. No, it should be okay.
If you like what you saw today, subscribe and tap that notification bell. Until next time, stay diligent.
Want more? Watch one of these videos next. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated.